welcome to the Game Gymnastics Podcast. Thank you for listening in, and today we've got a guest who I've probably been competing with for about 10 years or so, if you can correct me on that. Like, probably been about like 10 years competing with you, right?
10, 11 years.
Yeah, because it was probably when we were like 9, so yeah, ridiculous. But yeah, today we've got Oakley Banks.
Hello, thank you for having me. No, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, okay, so do you want to talk us through your gymnastics journey so far? Don't need to go into any like particular detail, just sort of a summary.
Yeah, so I started when I was 6 in a little gym club called Game Gymnastics Club. Wasn't doing it very well, to be honest. I just went there, like, had to get away from my parents and stuff. Like, they wanted to put me in gymnastics anyway. Me, my mum, my dad, my granddad, we always had that sense of gymnastics. Stayed there for a couple of years, then went to the MIPA Gymnastics Club, where it started to get a bit better and better. And then went to Pegasus Gymnastics Club, which I'm at now, when I was 9. And I've been there ever since. I've been there for about 10, 11 years, really. And since then, really, I've been in the national squad since I was about 11. I started, obviously, when I was quite late.
Yeah, I think it was 11.
And then from there, really, it's just progressed. Yeah, I've been to a European Youth Olympic Games, been to a Junior European Championships, and from there it's kind of got better and better. And this year I've been to my first Senior World Cup or World Challenge Cup, and hopefully looking to go bigger and better every year.
Nice, yeah. So you alluded to a couple competitions then. So what would you say like the highlights are for your entire career? Just a couple
highlights. For me, I think making European Youth Olympic team, that was the biggest one, because as much as like I see my whole career as different anyway, I see it as all of it's been a process. I've seen it as I haven't gone to a competition and been like, I want to win. I just want it to be stepping stones to the greater goal. But I think for me, I wanted to make the EOF team and I wanted to make the Junior Euros team that year. So for me, EOF was the better and bigger comp for me anyway. But making that team just gave me a sense of hope. But in both the comps at EOF and Junior Euros, we all medalled as a team on both times. So I think they're the highlights of both. But yeah, the World Cup's just for me is a stepping stone. Like I've said before, I don't think I could really describe it as much as I feel it. But for me, the World Cup was a big stepping stone, and I think that's the biggest like positive to take out of it.
Fair enough. Yeah. So you did the EOF, but that pretty much solidified a place for you for Junior Euros because they were very close together, and basically all the all-arounders from EOF kind of went sort of for all-around for Junior Euros. So you sort of solidified your place even before then. So is that maybe why you were more happy with EOF? Or
yeah, so before we had a couple comps before, obviously, for the trials for EOF, and I just remember going into the last one at London Open and just being like, if I make top 3, I've got a really good chance. So I think when I came second at that comp, I was like, damn, like this could be it. Like, and for me, when I saw the EOF that I was going, obviously there was 3 in that team and then 5 in the next for Junior Euros. But for me, yeah, I think that did solidify the place a bit. I know obviously things can change and things can differ, but for me, I think that just gave me a sense of confidence that I could go into my routines and know that I was at that time in a really, really good space, really.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so you've done a World Cup this year. When was that? That was relatively early in the year, wasn't it?
Yeah, May time it was, so a couple months ago.
Yeah, so you did that. Did you do London Open, or was that at the same time as London Open?
It was the same time as Varna World Cup.
So you did that, did British teams, and then what is it for the rest of the year?
So I did English, British, Varna World Cup, British teams this year, I believe. But for me, at the end of the year, I'm going to go to Bundesligas. I've got a team there where I'm really, really comfortable in a really good environment there. So I'm going to compete for them, get another couple scores, see what things go, and then really it's just upgrading for next year. because next year obviously is big. We're like me and you, we're into that senior ranks now. We're not just trying to work our way up. Like we want to be in them teams and stuff. So I'm looking at hitting a good English score, good British score next year, and then see where things take me. But for me, at the end of the year, it's just Bundesligas. So yeah, just enjoy myself really. So I think I've got about 6 or 7 comps that year or this year for Bundesligas, depending on what they want to do. But yeah, it should be fun. That's basically it. And holidays, just getting my time away, making sure that I have a lot of free time.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So would you say, when will you start competition prep again for Bundesligas?
For me, I'm not massively on comp prep when it comes to Bundesligas. Like I have my routines, I try and upgrade them and things, but it will still be 7 weeks out. So I think my first one's the end of September. So by the end of July, start of August, I'll start building up, making sure that my routines are ready, and then go from there. Like it's not very, very strenuous. The good thing about Bundesliga is that obviously you have to go in there knowing that you can do your routine, because you don't get really a warm up. So you'll do your like an hour round almost, and then you just go floor and then pommel. You don't get any warm up and you just go straight into your routines. And the same with rings, and then you get a little warm up for vault, P bar, and high bar. But it's the same principle. So you just got to be comfortable with your routine. So you don't want to go crazy on difficulty, or you'll just end up losing your head, and mentally you'll be a bit in a different place than other people. But yeah, I think 7 weeks, 7 to 8 weeks, I'll give myself, just to make sure I'm in a good space.
Okay, fair enough. But will you do like skills prep in between that, because you said the routines won't be very hard for you?
Yeah, I think for me, I'll still do 3 days a week of routines, but I'll make sure that on the off days, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll be doing new skills. I'll be trying to upgrade the routines that I'm trying to make. So like for me, I want to be able to compete some of my upgrades and some of the routines that I want to do next year. So as much as I say it's easy, I'll try like towards the end of Bundesliga, start to build up to the bigger routines. So I'll start slightly more basic, and then move up and up and up and up until I've got kind of my full routine for next year, competing this year.
Right, fair enough. So you sort of start off easy, build it up. Is that to sort of get you confidence, or is it just so you're more used to competition?
To be honest, Bundesliga for me, if that's what like you're kind of asking, Bundesliga for me, I like it as it's a really big different experience. I think competing for a different club is obviously a bit different as well. But I think for me, knowing that it is just like it's a very, very, I say stressful, but unstressful environment. So I think it's just trying to get scores, just trying to help the team out. It gives a little bit of extra money as well here and there, which is always good for gymnasts, because I know we don't get a lot of funding, if not anything really. But for me, it gives me another opportunity, which I like to take.
Yeah, it's probably a good outlook on it. I mean, I've been told to get on teams and stuff for it. I mean, I just haven't, honestly.
They're difficult, to be honest. For me, like, I got lucky with that James at our gym competed for a team, so we all have that link to that team. But I know obviously other people have different teams, and it's difficult like that. But once you're in that team, you're kind of set for that team. I don't like to change around, so
fair enough. That's good. Yeah. Would you say it's different because in that team comp, you're doing a team comp, but you're also sort of competing one-on-one with the other team? Like you go up, then they go up. So how do you say that differs between like English and British, for example?
It's more fun, I think. For me, it's a lot of interesting tactics and things. So looking at it like specifically, it's completely different. I have a completely different output on how I compete, when I compete, what I need to do, how I need to do it. Because it's like English and British is very, very stressful for me anyway, because I know I need to perform. But with these, I like to go for a little bit of different way of gymnastics, in my opinion, really. So I'll go for like the most amount of sticks on floor and the best execution and things like that. Like just being able to enjoy my gymnastics, it makes it a lot more fun. The problem with Bundesliga, my personal opinion anyway, but is the fact that you don't know when you're going to go up on a piece. So I could go first, let's say our team's going first. I could go first, but then the other team won't know when they're going up. So like for another piece, they could go up first. If they do a really good routine, they might put me up to try and counteract the points and stuff like that. But if someone does a really bad routine, they could put me up and I could get max points, and it works out a very strategic game, which for me, I think is fun and enjoyable. But for other people, it's really, really strenuous.
I can understand how that would be. I mean, both ways, fun and stressful, because on the one hand, you're like, oh my God, I don't know when I'm going to compete. On the other hand, it's like, oh, when am I going to compete? Like,
yeah, literally.
You could look at it both ways.
It's so different, I think, for me, which makes it more interesting. I think if it was going to be like a televised thing, I think more people would watch Bundesliga than they would normal comps like English and British, only because it's quicker. You've got more interaction with the scores and things like that, and you see what points and things like that. So I think for me, if it was going to be like a televised thing, gymnastics as a whole, I think more people would watch Bundesliga than they would other competitions.
Fair enough. Yeah. I guess it also depends on like the standard of gymnastics, because people aren't only watching for like the scores and stuff, but they're also watching for like seeing the big skills and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So if people are doing basic routines, they won't like be as entertaining.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess it depends what league you're in as well
100%.
For the Bundesligas.
100%. I think there's a point where like you've got third league, which is like some gymnasts are very, very good in third league, and then you go second league where they're like it's a mixture. Like some teams are just unbelievable. Like you have like one of the Italian guys who won a medal at Worlds in 2021. He was in one of the teams, and you had people like Jamie Lewis from our country in different teams, and Sam Estoffi's in a team in the second division and things like that. And then you go to the first division where it's just ridiculous. Like you've got all of just everyone's trying to fight for scores and things like that. So my team's in the second division because we have a chance of going up to the first division, but also it's not as strenuous, so I can try the new skills without having to constantly have to stay on the piece, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so you also alluded to the fact that you're doing upgrades. What sort of things are you doing to upgrade? Like on what pieces?
So looking at it from a big point of view, the stuff that I've posted online isn't everything, because I like to keep things to myself, sort of thing. I like to work on things until they're perfect, so I know that I can go into a competition and do it. That's why like stuff like Casino on bar is online, because it's ready. So like the little things for me, Casino on bar is definitely, it's going to go in for next year. It just depends on what I'm going to do after that, because I don't know. But other than that, on bar, you know, you've got the usual things. You've got the squat halves, the squat falls, things like that. That's just working in the background. But I'm also working Ginger and Def, just because they're getting upgraded. You got to have a try with it. You got to see what it's like. And obviously keeping my catch-ups just going just in case I need them. But for me, Casino's the biggest upgrade at the moment, which obviously allows me to do so much more. The rest of the pieces are slow and steady, like Volt I'm upgrading again, P-bar I'm upgrading little bits here and there. So like finally got Makuts in working in progress, which is good. And then upgrading little bits here and there. So just like making my long swing DM a little bit better and changing my dismounts a little bit to try and work the code in a better way. Floor is always steady. I mean, I had a 5.7 this year. I should be working around the same next code, which I mean,
that's
hopefully,
a lot harder.
If that works, it'll be a lot harder. Yeah, but it all depends on how comp prep goes at the start of the year. I can say as much upgrades as I want, but until I start putting them in a routine, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, this is just ideas anyway. This isn't for like set in stone what you're doing. It's just ideas of what sort of things you want to put in, what sort of things you're working at the moment. It doesn't really matter, because it won't, like none of it could be true, or all of it could be true. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I mean, for me, definitely bar is the main upgrade at the moment. I'm working so hard on bar, but looking at it logically, Makuts on P-bar, Homner on P-bar, long swing McCuts on P-bar. Like everything's just working around that sort of area. What I want to be, like what aspirational goals I want to have, I need them sort of routines. So like pommel is just the usual. So like triple Russian in the middle, sheer handstand, stuff like that. Rings is just strength. Vault working obviously 2.5 CAS, triple CAS, things like that, just to make sure that I've got that steady increase of difficulty for when I go into seniors and stuff. But floor is obviously a big one, but I'm not seeing it as a massive upgrade, only because we have such big floor workers in this world, and like in this world and the country. It's like trying to push for a world or European spot just for floor is like it's going to be ridiculous, because you have people like Jake, Harry, and Luke who are all just going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, so, I mean, Luke's 2-time European champion on floor. Not many people are going to compete with that.
It's just exactly. And looking at like start values now and things like that, what like Luke was doing a 6-8 start or 6-7 start, and then Jake's doing the same. Harry ended up doing the same, and it's like you can't really comprehend how hard that is without actually doing it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, because you well there.
Hello?
Yeah, because triple back's going up to an I now, and it's like it's ridiculous. Because what was it? Was it a G? Has it gone up 2/10?
I think it was a G. It might have been a H.
Yeah, but either way, it's going up to an I now, which is 9/10 in one skill. So they're very much pushing for people to do that. And I mean, there are a couple that do, but I feel like so many people are going to be breaking their ankles trying it.
I think the worst thing looking at it will be the double somersault dismount. I'm going to try and push either double Arabian half, which is a D, or double, which is an E. I don't think I can go any higher than that without having to do basically a straight back and a double twist and then go and finish with like 2.5 twist and double back. Like, I don't think it's possible, like, in that sense. So
yeah, there are other skills like double straight that are going up and stuff like that. Like double straight's going up to an E. Have you thought about anything like that? Not to finish. Not to finish on, just to be clear, because I don't think anyone's going to be finishing on double straight full or whatever.
Well, I know a couple of people who are finishing on double straight at the moment.
But like double straight twisting to finish is a bit mad.
But it all depends on how much like work you do. For me, but I've thought about double straight. I can't do it myself. I'm too long. Like I can't get enough rotation. I can't do enough like height and it's just, for me, I'm a twisting man. Like I'll just do the most amount of twists I can, get a good score like that. But I know some people that will try and finish on double straight just because it's a crowd pleaser. People will see, double straight at the end, it's big. Like it's a good end to like for the judges and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I know loads of people will be thinking of double pike backwards to finish because that's going up to a D, so it's an easy 4/10. It's not a very hard skill, but it is a very hard skill to land, though, so I think lots of people will be struggling with that. Also, I think the stick bonus is in the code. I did look, so some people will be... No, yeah, it's good. So I think some people will be going for stuff they can just stick easily, but then at the same time you get like 2/10 for every 10th of difficulty you go up, so it's a balancing act, I guess.
I think a lot of people will either go, so like if we're talking about P-bar or rings or whatever, or even floor, you'll see people that will do either a little lower routine like on difficulty, but then go for a massive dismount and try and get the stick bonuses and the extra requirements like that. So I know a lot of people are working double back full off P-bar and stuff like that. Or you'll have someone who has massive difficulty, but then just like a double pike or a double front, and they'll stick it, and then that'll just be that. I think people are just trying to see how the code will work out. Like I know for a fact that vaults are staying at the same start values and stuff, so that's probably more or beneficial for us. But yeah, I think people are just trying to figure out the code at the moment. It's a lot more difficult to understand when it's been finalized, just because you know that that's going to happen. Yeah. I know like when there's speculation and stuff about what's going to be in the code, what's not, you can have an idea. But for me, when it's finalized, I'm like, like this is definitely changing.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Yeah, I think with Volt's not changing, it doesn't really benefit or hurt anyone, because I mean, there was speculation about it going down 4/10, but I mean, it's not happening. But even if it did, it doesn't affect. It affects everyone the exact same amount, so it wouldn't have really changed much. It was just, I assume it was just to like get all the scores closer together, so Volt was closer to all of the other pieces. But I mean, they didn't do it, so it didn't really matter.
yeah, I think if they were to drop the scores and drop the start value, sorry, it would just cause like 80 to be like a really, really good score. Like I know 8 skills, 80 will be a hard thing to do, but you'll still have people scoring 83 and you'll still have people trying to push 84 because the world's going up, everyone's doing bigger skills. Just I think it helps with something like Volt where you can still do a 6 start and score 15.5, like someone like Jake, and that'll push him as an all rounder, not only because it's like the hardest vault in the world, but also because of the score. I think if they push that down to a 5-6 and you're only scoring max 15, compared, like you're never going to see anyone try and push towards 85. That's like my personal like thing on it, really.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, in some minds it would be, oh, it's only 4/10, but in others it's like, well, if that's pushed down, every other score, like in your mind, is going to be pushed down as well. So it just affects you in that way.
Yeah.
I think with 8 skills, like any target that you had before is now a bigger goal because score wise, because obviously scores are going to be going down regardless. I mean, at the highest level, like from junior to senior now is a lot less of a jump because you don't have to add 2 new skills in.
Yeah.
Obviously the code's changing, but the code's changing for everyone. So it's just about playing to the code, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think I was watching like another video the other day and they were saying about the jump from junior to senior is bigger for men's than it is for women's because you have longer time to process things and you have like your prime is a lot older for a gymnast when obviously for men's than it is for women's. Like you see a lot of 16-year-olds going like to the Olympics this year and stuff, like Abby Martin and people like that who are like going to the Olympics for us at 16, but for us they're like 19 onwards. But I think the jump from junior to senior now that there's 8 skills, I think will be less. Of course, you'll hit prime whatever age you are, but you might see people jumping into things a bit more this time instead of like waiting out a little bit longer. Like I think they might be primed a little bit earlier, knowing that you only have 8 skills and you've just got to be able to do like the hardest difficult you can, really. I think there'll be some jumps in different countries. I still think the prime will be a little bit later for men's anyway, but because of like strength skills and stuff on rings and things like that. But personally, I think there'll be some people that will jump quickly and effectively as well.
Yeah, you said about like the prime being later for men's. That's always going to be true because we got different bodies to women. Like it's just naturally what happens. But I do think that I haven't really thought about this much, but I was just thinking that maybe the prime could be sort of extended in men's now because you have to do less skills, so you don't have to have that sort of endurance anymore. So you can sort of ride it for longer, I guess. It's just a thought. Like, yes, you need to chuck the big skills when you've got them.
Yeah, I do think that it will be like that, but you will have like the natural things. So you'll have people that try and go for massive skills straight away and stuff and will burn out and things like that. Like it's part of gymnastics. Like for me, I know that if I push way too hard on a week, the next week I struggle and things like that. So I have to really like work out what's the best way to train and what's the best way to get the most out of my body. So I think as soon as like people find that out and figure that out with the 8 skills as well, I think it will be longevity. There'll be a lot more longevity in the sport.
Yeah. So have you worked out what the best way for you to train is?
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, I've got quite a fragile body. So I know that if I push like ridiculously hard, I know that something will just trigger and something will eventually try and stop me. So I think for me personally, I've figured out that training at a high intensity constantly is a negative for me. So I know that some people train 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, like whatever. As much I train 6 days a week, but I know that I listen to my body. I know that listening to my body is the main thing of trying to stay healthy, trying to stay fit and things like that. So I just work around how I'm feeling, and I'll speak to my coach and we'll make up a plan and things like that. And I think that's really, really helped in the fact of trying to stay injury free.
Fair enough. And I'm assuming this has been trial and error then, like just sort of learning from mistakes, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, without having to try different things, you won't ever know what's best for you. So I think over the course of however long I've been training there and the different training styles that I've seen at Lilleshall, so I know that you train like differently to me. And I know that really, really supports the aspect of gymnastics in general, because I know that you could do something completely the same to someone else and it might not give you the same benefits as them training that, like how they train. So I know that you might not get the same benefits as I do training the way that I do. It's all about trial and error, and I think for me that's really, really helped, knowing that it will take a while to understand that, and it will take a while for me to process it.
Yeah, and I guess it's also true with, in general, you're not going to need what other people are going to need as well. Like, you have your own strengths, they have their own strengths, and it's like, if you're trying to do the same thing as them, you're going to be working something you're already good at to a certain degree, or like you're going to be, I guess, doing too much of a certain thing when you don't actually need to, and you could just be like working the skills, or basically just need to play to your strengths rather than trying to worry about what other people are doing. Yes, you can take inspiration from what other people are doing and it might work for you in some ways, but you sort of have to pick and choose. And like you said, or like I said, trial and error.
Yeah, definitely. I think if we look at it from a country's perspective, I know that everyone trains differently in different clubs, and I know that they've had to figure out their way of training and how it's going to benefit them compared to other clubs. And that's why it's like gymnastics is so broad and wider because of that aspect, and why it's also such a hard sport, I think, because you can't just go off a plan. You have to look at that and make it linked to you as a person, compared to other sports where you could probably do the same thing and get the same outcome every single time.
Yeah, obviously everyone's individual. And I mean, even in other sports, like, you're gonna have to play to your strengths. But I think you're right in the, like, if everyone does the same thing and it's very regimented in other sports, that will work. But in gymnastics, it has to be very individual, because you won't be able to do the skills that other people will be able to do, and you'll be able to do different skills that they won't be able to do. So you have to sort of alter it a bit, and you're gonna have a different specialty to someone else as well. So yeah,
looking at, like, going on from that, what I've seen is we're becoming a country that's a lot taller. I know that a lot of gymnasts coming up, and through lockdown and things like that, like, I shot straight up. I went from really, really tiny to like quite tall for a gymnast anyway, not in this world. There's so many people. But for me, looking at other countries and how their body type is and their body shapes and how tall they are and how small they are, it explains why they are so good at what they do. So people like China and Japan, like, they're so small and they're so like built, like they must not have many injuries and they must not have many like little things here and there. So like little problems with muscles and things like that, because they are so compact and they're so small and they're so able. I think that's why they are so heavy and so big as a team. And like the same with China, but like for us, where we have different body types, we have different like sizes and shapes and everything, like, it's so much more harder to be able to change your way of thinking and the way that you train as well. So I know for me, it's been so different being taller than it has being smaller, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you were just frozen. I wasn't sure if you were done speaking. Yeah, I was just thinking, with like China and Japan, because they have so much more narrow, like, I guess, diversity in their like body types and stuff, they can be more regimented, and they can do sort of the same sort of thing because they're very similar, like in build and structure. So it would be a lot more easier for them to make a plan and actually stick to it rather than having to change it based on how you're feeling or doing all that sort of stuff, because they are very similar and they can all do the same sort of thing. But yeah, with us, because we've got all different shapes and sizes, from like, I mean, he's very young, but like George is like, if you saw the pictures from junior worlds of Alex, me, and then George, like it was ridiculous. Yeah,
like some people have ridiculous like traits in them. Like everyone in Japan is smaller. Like if you look at their heights and everything, like they are smaller, so they have a beneficial way. But like you said, there's people in this country who are smaller and have that build, and you can see how much they strive off that, which is something that I wish I had, but I don't wish I have, because looking at like this year and what skills I'm doing and how they look, I would rather be taller because it does look more elegant and it looks more like, for me, it looks a bit more like like professional in a way, for me anyway. Like knowing that the skills they look better, they look longer. Like I have to really work to be able to make them look better.
yeah, of course. And everyone's gonna have their like issues with it. Like some skills, even if you can do them, they might look a bit dodgy just because you are a certain body type or your gymnastics is a certain way. But I guess it does just take some work, and you can always make a skill look nice if you're already able to do it. But yeah, like people are different shapes, people are different sizes. You just gotta work with what you got, really.
I mean, going off what you said and about like different skills look different with different body types, you see it all the time. Like people with hyperextended elbows and things like that. Like all different things that potentially might not even benefit you as a person in gymnastics. Like you have to work with it. And I think for me, like that's something that I've almost had to put in my brain, because I know some things might not look good compared to other people, if that makes sense. Like I know that some some gymnasts have ridiculous body types and they're able to do so much more and it looks so much better. So like for a judge point of view, like I felt quite not demoralized, but when like some skill I was trying so hard on didn't look as good as other people. But then like you have to realize that you can't change how you look, you can't change how things are, so you just have to carry on and move on from that.
Yeah, and realistically, it's about the execution. In all, yes, it does make it look better if it's more aesthetically pleasing, and you are less likely to get deducted. But also at the same time, if there's nothing for them to take because technically it is correct, then there really isn't much of an issue, regardless, even if it doesn't look as nice. Like you can see people doing bavsars that are like meters above the bar, or you can see one that just about gets over. Yes, one might get deducted, but if it's enough above the bar, it won't. So it doesn't really make much of a difference. Yes, one looks nicer than the other, but neither is more, like, numbers wise, neither makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I always see my gymnastics as I want to be able to push the people that look the best. So I always go off what other people like, and I always say this as an example, but the Chinese Taipei guy on bar, I always try and work towards his high bar routine and how his actions work in that, because he is longer and he is quite tall. So looking at him, I can try and figure out what things work for me. And that's what I base my casino slightly off.
Yeah.
So, because obviously he was in Bulgaria with us, so I was watching how he trained, how he competed, things like that, and just it was unbelievable, just the way that he's able to get up and just do it. It's just ridiculous. But his body type is probably suited for stuff like bar, the way that his actions go, the way that he can press and rotate with the bar and stuff. And he actually has the bar quite tight, which is I was quite surprised with, because I'm one for having a really, really like tight tension on the bar, and he was as well. So I mean, for my height, it might be beneficial and more beneficial than that. So it's just how it works. I don't know. It's different.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that guy has been mentioned 3 times and never by name. No one knows his name. They all know that he's just the Chinese Taipei guy on bar. All right. So considering you've been like watching him and doing all that sort of stuff, any plans to do Lukin? Any plans to do Wallstrom, or just strictly the casino?
Luke, I'll be completely honest. I don't ever see myself doing Lukin. Like, Kachev for me is so mentally hard, and like people know that as well. Like, I don't like Kachevs. For me, like, I am a Kovac and Kasina, and Ginger and Def is like my boundary. But I mean, I've always wanted to try like different skills, different elements and things. So I mean, if I could do a straight Kachev, I'll probably try it. But it's trying to get to the straight Kachev, which is the hard bit for me. But you know, I won't put it off. I don't think I would ever compete it, let's say, but you know, it's worth a try if I'm able to do it. Put it that way.
Fair enough. Yeah. Like, I mean, both of them are going to a G. I mean, you tried Def, or trying Def, so that's another G. You've done Casino, that's another G. So, I mean, what's to stop you doing another one, I guess?
Yeah, I mean,
I'd
bar
say
is open now.
Yeah, I'd say with Lukin, don't. If you're not confident enough to try it, I wouldn't, because like, I mean, straight Kachev is like when you're first doing it, it is a scary skill because you are worried about that, like kicking the bar. Because if you don't get enough height, you will kick the bar.
Yeah.
So that plus, and then trying to Lukin where you absolutely have to get over the bar, but then you're also trying to think about other stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't push it too much if you're not confident with it.
I honestly said to my coach, I said to him, I was like, I would rather do a Casino, no pad, first go, than ever do a Kachev again. Like, I don't know why, just Kachev is one of them scary skills for me, which, I mean, I'm always up for a challenge. I'm always up for it. Like, I will always try it. But looking at it logically, just, I am a Casino type of guy. Like, Casino is just so much fun. Like, I'm not scared about it. I have no worries when I get on that bar that I'm going to catch it, which is something that I wouldn't say I'm known for, but I'm quite consistent in the fact that I can catch my releases when I need to. And just trying to do the same repetitions in the same amount, I think that's Casino is going to be one of them skills that's next level.
Yeah. And I'd say, like, you've got you're scared of doing Kachev, so why would you force yourself to do it, really? Like, it's going to make it, like, it's going to make you less want to do it, so it's going to make it, like, worse in training, comp, or whatever it ends up being. So, like, if you're scared about doing it, you're going to do it less in training, so you're not going to be as ready for it as you would be, like, a Casino, so you're not going to compete it as well, so there's not really a point if you're not going to, like, and if you're doing enough as is, like, if it's not a necessity, like, you've got releases, so, like, no real point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think going off the new code as well, what we were talking about before, knowing that I believe you can only do 2 boxes of releases. I don't know if that's
the wording isn't very clear on that. I don't think that's the case. I've looked at it and I don't think that's the case. I think you can do as many as you want.
Yeah, if it works like that, then I mean, it would be ideal to be able to do like Casino, Kovac, Coleman connected, and then like Kachev, Ginger connected, and things like that. Like, working at it, if I worked, let's say if I did the Casino, the Kovac, Coleman connected, and then I went to do like squat half Ginger, which then could turn to squat half Def, and then you've got a D and a G, and things like that. Like, I think it works in steps, and it works in a better way, in my opinion. Yeah. And then if I did like a squat 4 and a dismount, and then like a stoop stalder or whatever, like you're looking at 5.
You need to do a long bar element.
Right. I mean,
like Quast or something, or Zulamin.
Yeah.
Even just a seat would do you for that routine, honestly. And Quast is easy. I learned in like 3 days.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what other skills there are really other than Quast, Zulamin.
Yeah, unless you're doing like Robalco and stuff. But yeah, Zulamin, one-arm giant, but one-arm giant's only a B. Yeah.
Has that been put into the code, like fully put in? Do you have to do a long, like?
I mean, a long bar element is one of the element groups, so you won't get the 5/10. It's group 1.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, either way, you could work out a routine that, yeah, like I think the connections do you wonders in like this code. I think the problem that I'll have is if I can't do a quast, a Zulamin, a one-arm giant, what would they take? They would take probably like the blind or whatever,
Yeah,
or the top.
yeah, it would have to be a 1/10, but you would have to not do any other skills. Like you wouldn't be able to do like a stolder or anything to sort of get your bearings or anything because that's a B, so that would
You
take
would literally
over.
and that would be what, like?
It depends what you're doing out of the def as well, actually. Because how are you getting out of it? Would you just do an upstart out of it?
It would either be upstart or endo.
Yeah, endo would give you a B though. That's the thing. And if you do the endo, then you'll have to. Then the blind or top won't count, so you won't get a long bar element. So you'll be down 6/10, 4/10.
Yeah. It'll all work. Like, I swear, there's got to be more long bar elements than just Zulamin, Quast, Rabalco.
Give me a sec.
What, like one on long? Like, there's got to be more.
Let me consult the code. Okay, that's nothing. These are Bs. Back uprise to handstand with full turn to mixed grip. There's like Healy, like from under grasp going to invert.
Yeah.
And then also invert giant is a B as well, and that's a long bar.
So then, okay. So you could do if you were really struggling, because you could do Russian giant, surely, which is also a long bar.
Russian giant is a C. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't do squat and you can't do squat full and squat half. I've run into this before.
Yeah. So if you took out the squat and the Russian and put a squat full and then a quast or a Zulamin, and then added 2 Bs in there to make 10 skills, this code it would be like 6/8,
something like that. Yeah.
Which is just crazy. But obviously that's the long term plan. I don't ever want to be able to do that this code or like this next year's cycle, or I think I would end up just destroying myself, trying too hard or whatever.
They haven't downgraded anything like Kovacs related, but they kind of have in relation to the other releases that they put up, just because they put them up. So like, you're going to see more Gingers, you're going to see more Defs, and then Jaegers and Gaylords and stuff like that. But I don't think that's going to make a huge difference. People are just going to be chucking crazy skills, basically, I think. Probably going to be more weakens as well. I think floor and bar are going to be the main ones, and probably P-bar as well, where people are just going to go all out and hope that they land on their feet, really. I think that's what I'm starting to see from this code. Yeah. On like the upgrades and the different things. Yeah, because Volt's the exact same. Pommels, people are going to stick to what they know realistically. Exactly. And Pommel's actually a lot easier now. Like, I'm a lot less worried about my pommel routine, now that it's down to 8 skills. Yeah. I've got one in mind. Don't know how likely it is, but I've got one in mind that could probably keep me going for a while, and I just need to keep it clean. And then floor is going to be a big one because double somersault finish, and they've changed a lot of like skill values and stuff. P-bars is also going to be quite a big one because it going down to 8 skills, people are doing like E average for P-bars and getting like 7 starts. But then what are you going to do when 2 of those are taken out and you have to upgrade loads of them to Gs? And like, it's just, this is at the highest level. Like, not many people will be doing that, but it's still something that everyone's got to think about.
Yeah. I think the average on each piece will look at between, like, for someone who wants to medal potential between 5 and 6. If you've got over a 6 start, like, you are on some sort of next level. Like, there's no way you can get without doing like something on floor. Like, I think I can do a 5/9 on floor. Like, that's like maxed out, I think, for me.
I was struggling to think of a 6 start, like a 6 start that I could do this code on floor. Like, it's ridiculous.
I think this code, if I did the routine with like that I want to do next year with just like a Russian lever and then with a 2.5 punch straight front instead, just another tumble, it goes up to like a 6/6 or something.
Yeah, it would do.
Which is just great because it's like 7 temps extra.
Yeah. Have you thought about the fact that it's only 2 diagonals you're allowed to do now?
Yes, I have. So my routine structure will go 2 tumbles, diagonal down the side, then 2, then my combo, then 1.
So by diagonal down the side, you mean from the corner to like the middle of the other side, and then go
Yeah, I
down to
mean,
the corner.
yeah, I think that's the only. I'm hoping that the only hope that I've got is that I can do a quad fourth tumble. That's like my only concern really, and double to finish. But we'll take that as it comes. If I can't do double to finish, you can do a double pike or a double Arabian half, and it just. But yeah, it's a difficult one, this code, I think, for me, because it's completely different to what we know in that sort of way. Like skills that you wouldn't have expected to do, you can do it now, and you actually get credited for it.
Yeah.
Instead of doing it and being like, oh well, then there's no point doing it. But
yeah, because
it's like,
yeah,
I've looked at a couple of people now. Like there's a 16-year-old in Colombia who's doing triple double to finish.
Camila Vera.
And it's like, you've got the odd people that will do it, but I reckon the main people will stick with a double or a double Arabian half or a double pike. There's no way that you can really do much different, I'll be honest.
Yeah, you can't rely on the old ways, and people will be doing the craziest stuff.
And it's like, as much as people say, oh, they won't ever do it, the Colombians are on some next level. Like, I'm trying to watch what they do and trying to just keep up, because they're just on some next level at the moment, and it's good to see, only because it's a different country. And I think you've got people like Manrique, who was from Cuba, and like he was sick, and people appreciated that. And then you've got people from Colombia, and they're going to be appreciated and stuff. And it's nice to see, compared to just like the usual countries that absolutely smack everyone, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, you're used to seeing like China, Japan, Russia, all them just sort of dominating everyone. But then, yeah, seeing some different countries is quite nice to have a bit of variety in there. Like Angel Barajas, he made it into Olympics now. We're going to see him at the Olympics. Like it's cool to see that because he smashed it at like all the World Cups. He's really good at high bar, really good at P bars, and it'll be interesting to see, because he was on a mad one at Junior Worlds. Like he was doing Casino, Kovac, Coleman connected, like the combination that you've literally been talking about that you want to do. Like, and he was 16 at the time when he was doing that, and he was doing Stolikachev 7th skill in a junior routine, like literally second to last skill. Like he did squat half immediate Stolikachev, 6th and 7th skills.
Yeah,
and like it's crazy to think that people are capable of doing that. And he's 16, and well, now he's 17. I'm assuming he's turning 18 this year, otherwise he wouldn't be able to do the Olympics. But like, it's cool to see that people who you would never have thought about doing some cool stuff, like, and smacking everyone up.
Yeah, I think looking at how his routine's structured now, Barajas, he's doing like squat half immediate, stall to straight Kachev immediate, straddle Kachev, then does Casino, then does Kovac Coleman. And it's like, I just look at it and I'm like, fair play to you. Like, you can't, like, gymnastics is very, very appreciative in that fact. Like, if you see someone that's good at gymnastics, you're like, damn, like, you are good at gymnastics, like, good on you. Like, he's just the next level. And I was reading an article, and it's saying that he's going to do all round at the Olympics, which, I mean, looking at it, he's got a good shot, like, of being up there, like, top 10, like, potential, like, really, like, for a 17-year-old as well.
Yeah, got a really good floor. His pommels isn't as good, but he can get a score at least. Rings, I don't think it's anything too special. But he's got a good vault, good P bars, and good high bar as well. So 4 of the 6 he's really solid on. Like he's got 2.5 on vault, which I think is pretty consistent. I think he might be able to do triple now. I don't actually know. I've seen him work in triple.
I know at Junior Worlds he did Yurchenko.
Yeah, he does Yurchenko, but it's the same value anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But I think for him and that Camilo Vera are just ridiculous. And I think you've got to look at it, and you've just got to watch, because they're on a different level of talent.
Yeah.
And if you don't appreciate it, what can you appreciate in life, really? because they're not in the best gym in the world. They're not in like the best environments and things like that. And they're pushing routines that look unbelievable. Like, you just got to watch and you just got to be like, fair enough. Like, I can't really complain about it because it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, when someone's doing giant double off the end and then pushes it to giant triple back off the end, like, you got to respect that. Like, that's ingenuity.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think it's so uncommon that it makes it look better, because it's like you don't see anyone doing it, and then you've got 2 or 3 people doing like double back full off the end of the P bars, and you've got double doubles and you've got triple backs and stuff like that. It's just like a whole different level. And I think looking at it from a judge's point of view, they see that and it works in their favor, because it's like, it's originality and you can't take that away from them. And hopefully they have a long and successful career instead of it being like short and sweet. You know, we can't change that. You just got to watch and you just got to appreciate it while it's here.
Yeah, 100%. Like, they're not the cleanest. They're not like the Chinese where they don't spare a single tenth and they have to be like perfect, especially on P bars. But they've got some big skills and it's cool to see. Like, it's a spectacle, realistically. And they've got some skills that you don't normally see. So it is quite nice to watch them and learn from them, I guess, as well. Because you can learn a lot from watching other people do gymnastics, not only because it's cool to watch, but also because it's like, what can I take? What sort of skills could I learn from this as well? So definitely.
Yeah, I think for me, watching other people has allowed me to be a better gymnast. I think me being in a gym with people like James, Courtney, and at one point Gianni as well, like, I was able to learn from them, learn how different things help them, and also their ability to stay calm under pressure. And I think for me, that's helped me as a gymnast, not only physically but mentally as well. And I think for them, for like the Colombians, they almost don't have that stepping stone of where they need to be. So like, they're making it themselves, which also is probably very, very beneficial to them, because they don't have a limit. If you've got someone above you that's potentially doing the best skills in the world, you think that's the best skills in the world. But for them, they probably don't know any different.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's no ceiling to it, I guess, to them. And they've succeeded in pretty much everything they've tried so far. Like, Camilo's doing fuck's sake. Camilo's doing triple pike off on floor. Like, there's no limit to it. He's going to be chucking triple straight soon or something stupid like that. Like, there's no cap to it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think for me, looking at it as a viewer who knows gymnastics, I think for me it's very, very inspiring to know that other people are working like that, because it doesn't just stop me from working, it makes me motivated to do more. Because I know there's people like that in the world that you can't stop them from doing that. That's just how they're going to be. But what you can do is obviously stop yourself from doing it, because other people are like that. And then that's where the problems come in. And I just look at it as fair enough. Like, fair enough to them. They're putting in the work. They're doing the effort. They're putting as much time as we are into that. So you just got to respect it.
Yeah, 100%. If they're putting in the work, they deserve the reward for it. And if you learn what you need, if you learn what your body needs, and you work with your body, then why can't you sort of do those things too? Not the exact same things, obviously, but learn from them, learn from yourself, and sort of figure out what works for you.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that is gymnastics as a whole, in my opinion. You got to learn from how your body copes, how your body works. And like we've said before, everyone trains and everyone works differently. And we just got to go from that.
Of course. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Thank you for listening to the Game Gymnastics Podcast. I hope you join me in listening to the next one. Peace.